How did you determine they were Antifa? Tater, thank you for
because you could tell.
Welcome in, everybody. The big day where the Epstein files were released. Oh, wait. They weren't. They weren't released. They were not released. We wanted them to be released, but they were not released. As unfortunate as that is, I want to make something super clear. They are in violation of federal law. There is no if, and, or buts about it. One thing we can say for sure now is the cover-up is there. Are you willing to accept that there's a cover-up now? Or are you going to claim that I'm not telling the truth? Or are you willing to accept it? Are you going to claim I'm mischaracterizing, jumping to conclusions, creating a conspiracy? Because now the evidence is there in front of you. The Epstein Transparency Act that was passed in Congress with one nay vote in the House and unanimous consent in the Senate. 100 senators greenlit this bill. This bill was signed by the president and passed into law. Of course, he had no choice because it was veto-proof. They would have been able to override the veto regardless. And here we are today with less than 10% of the Epstein files released and largely redacted. And that's the second part we need to talk about, the amount of redactions there are. Entire pages are redacted. Entire pages. Absolutely ridiculous. And if you condone this, then you condone a cover-up. There is no question anymore about a cover-up. The cover-up's there. What's going on, everybody? Andy, what's going on? Heather's Cutter, what's going on? Not That Dana, what's up? Gumball Dolphins, Charlotte Petty, Reaper's Moon, what's going on? Angel Blue Eyes, Tammy Price, Kenyan Bunny, Mr. J Fresh. What's going on, everybody? Yep. Mostly redacted what was released. Now, I will say I went through the pictures. They were deeply, deeply disturbing. I mean, we're talking deeply disturbing pictures were in these Epstein files. Really stuff that's just very troubling. Fox News reported earlier that the Department of Justice redacted the names of government officials in these files. We're actually one of the first people to report on this. Now it's been reported by a number of outlets. The third part we need to talk about is the redactions. You're probably wondering, well, what do you mean redactions? How was that supposed to work? They were supposed to justify those redactions. They were supposed to say, hey, this is why this is being redacted because it pertains to an ongoing investigation. Or, hey, this is why that's being redacted because it's about a victim's privacy. They did none of that. They redacted whatever the hell they wanted, and then they did a small dump of the files. I don't know how you could possibly approve of this, but I expect that Trump supporters do. I expect that Trump supporters do support it. I do. I expect that they have no problem with it, like they didn't when we tried to explain to them there was a cover-up happening, and everyone said, no, there isn't. You're reaching. You know, there was a letter in these files. We knew about this information because it was related to the testimony of Kash Patel, who, when under oath, talked about the fact that Pam Bondi had originally requested the files in February. Kash Patel said, sure, no problem. Sent this bulk folder of files over. And guess what? Pam Bondi, by luck, found out that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of a truckload of files that Kash Patel didn't tell Pam Bondi about. You think that's a coincidence? You think the director of the FBI didn't know that there was a truckload of files in the state in which, one of the states in which the guy resided? He was a well-known figure in New York, as well as many other places. In Miami, Florida. Naylin 62, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. What's going on? So what's going on, everybody? What are your thoughts on the files? I bet a lot of people are pissed off today. A lot of people are probably frustrated. There's so many things that I have a problem with. The redactions not getting approval. They didn't even bother. They didn't even attempt to explain why these redactions occurred. This shouldn't be about party affiliation. This should be about transparency. And if you're not pissed off, I'm confused why. I'm starting to get suspect of people who aren't angry. This is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. People, they're just playing in your face now. They're just playing in your face. They're looking at you and saying, we don't care that we're in violation of federal law. If you're a Trump supporter, you can call in, by the way. 908-632-3703. And you can give your take. But I imagine Trump supporters are pretty embarrassed right now, and I doubt they're going to call in. 210 Rain, Christopher, thank you for the $19.99 super chat. Appreciate you, Christopher. Listen, if you're a Trump supporter, call in. Don't comment, call. I have answers to these questions. Call in. Shoot your shot. That's funny, Christopher. Yeah, that's exactly what they look like. Entire pages were redacted. Entire pages. Unbelievable. And the funny thing is, I think most of those people didn't even take the time to read the Transparency Act. They don't even care. But just to clarify for you, they're not allowed to do that. That's against the law. Now, it's funny, the party of law and order. Are you upset today? Is the party of law and order pissed off? Or no? Not angry? Not mad? Law and order doesn't matter anymore? I bet it doesn't. So frickin' predictable, man. So predictable. If you're a Trump supporter, let's hear your take on today. Let's hear what you think. What's the matter? You scared? His tube is crying in the chat. This guy sucks. Shut up, dude. We don't care. We're just muting you. We're not listening to your crying today. Call on the phone number if you want to cry. We're not doing the crying temper tantrum in the chat. This guy is biased. Why aren't you guys mad about the files? Why aren't you pissed that they're breaking the law? This guy in chat just wrote, do you remember the 1776 bonus checks paid from the tariffs? Does someone want to correct him in the chat? Oh, my God. They're so gullible. So gullible. They were not paid by tariffs, dude. Okay, these were funds already appropriated by Congress through the one big, beautiful bill, which was allocated to the Department of War to support basic housing allowances. Had nothing to do with tariffs. Good try, though. Good try, though. Listen, if you call in right now, 908-652-3703. Phone lines are open. Phone lines are open. The 1776 was not paid. The Warrior dividends check, which you're talking about, was not paid for by the tariffs. These were funds already appropriated by Congress. Already appropriated by Congress. That's just a political gesture. He changed the name. He rebranded it to make it seem like it was something new. It's not something new. It's not something new. Sorry to tell you. So Jill in the chat says, so he's wrong, never made a mistake. Oh, really? This is just a mistake? I'd say this is a little more than a mistake.
Call from
Vaughn.
Yes. Are you a Trump supporter? And what's your name?
Yes. Vaughn.
Okay, Vaughn, what are your thoughts about the fact that they are in violation of federal law right now?
I think they are doing some things that are negative, but...
No. Vaughn. They're in violation of federal law. The Epstein Transparency Act says all of the Epstein files needed to be released today. Why are you okay with the Department of Justice not only redacting information they didn't get approved, but not releasing all of the information? They released less than 10%.
The Epstein files are probably some sort of... I think it's like a distraction technique away from trying to get people to focus on something that's not really affecting their lives. I think if people were to start unionizing against the rental industry and just saying,
what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Create rights.
What are you talking about right
now?
Doesn't affect us. Corruption.
The Epstein stuff is a distraction.
Oh, it's a distraction now. So it's not important that there's potentially PDFs in our government. It's not important that the president of the United States is implicated. It's not important.
It's probably distracting. No, I think it's a distraction. Even if they are doing it, they would never release it. No.
Wait. You're not understanding. Do you know about the Epstein Transparency Act?
Yeah, they passed something to where they wanted to release all the Epstein files, and now
not wanted to. It's a law.
They passed. Okay, so they passed the law, and then they redacted portions of it.
No. That's not what happened.
I can't think of any president
that's not what happened. 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 So, first of all, they didn't redact portions of it. They redacted 95% of it. They released less than 10% of it. The law said they needed to release all of it. It's so funny. You guys thought this was a huge deal until Trump was potentially implicated. Now it's a distraction. Now it's a hoax. Now it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal that this guy who had connections with intelligence agencies across the world had potentially been blackmailing people in our government, the most infamous human trafficking PDF ring we've ever seen, the largest and longest, and it's a distraction?
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
Just because...
You should tell that to the to 2,000 survivors that it's a distraction, because they disagree. Right.
Well, I mean, like, if you look at 9/11, I don't think we got, like, a lot of the truth in that. We didn't get a lot of truth in what was going on in Afghanistan.
What are you talking about?
Didn't get a whole lot of information on when they were burning down the Amazon. I don't think that politicians are honest. The only thing that I support about Trump is, like, a lot of the changes that have happened in the Forest Service. Basically...
Oh, God. Bore me to tears. Bore me to tears. This guy wants to talk about the Forest Service. on the night of one of the biggest acts of corruption we've ever seen in American history. This is not an exaggeration. Somebody in the chat said the news isn't covering it. What? It's on every news station right now. Type in MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. It's front page of every single major news network right now. AP, BBC, Reuters. It's on the front of every single news station. Taser says, this is the first I've heard of the new cover. Taser, I don't know where you've been. Donald Trump worked very hard to keep these files from the American people. Tried to convince Republicans not to sign on to the discharge petition. Kash Patel lying about releasing all of the information to Bondi, then lying under oath about evidence and whether or not Epstein trafficked any young girls to anyone but himself. He said there was no evidence. Well, there is. It's in the files that were released today. Sending your deputy attorney general to sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell prior to her testimony in front of the Oversight Committee. You can listen to the proffer. She was rewarded for that meeting. And today we have a law that was passed that gave the Department of Justice 30 days to release these files. 30 days. Maximum. Not that's when you start releasing them. You have 30 days. This was clear to everybody. You have maximum 30 days to release the files. And I've been long accusing this Department of Justice of covering this up. And what did they do today? They proved me right. They didn't release them. They released less than 10% of them, and they were largely redacted. How are you not pissed? How are you not furious at this? You're not, because you love Trump more. That's what you care about. That's what's important to you. Bacon, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Beacon, I think, or Bacon, whatever it is. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This Dakota Armstrong guy in the chat keeps talking about how I'm boring it. He's sitting in here. Bro, I just clicked your profile. Lols. Big time LOL. Yeah, what happened to the lock 'em up? What happened to the party of law and order? What happened to that? Peter just called me a genius with a J, everybody. I want you to realize the mentality here. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're being held hostage by. Are you willing to accept it? Or are you pissed? They're running. They don't want to call in. They know they have egg on their face. You can call in right now, 908-652-3703, and give me your take on it. Listen, Peter, just stop talking. We don't want to hear your excuses. We don't want to hear your excuses, Peter. I silenced you, just like the DOJ silenced the victims. Just like the DOJ silenced the victims. Same way. Well, you don't know the difference between your and your. Meta. So, you certainly wouldn't be the person to gauge one's intelligence. You wouldn't be the person to gauge one's intelligence. You don't know the difference between your and your. And by the way, that's a no-no on my channel. I silence people who don't know the difference between your and your. Dude, MAGA's crying so hard right now. Look at them crying. Oh, my God. Do you guys see MAGA crying? S-Buds. What's going on, S-Buds? They're crying so hard. I knew the coping would be extreme. I knew the coping would be pretty extreme. Yes, the DOJ is a joke. I agree. The DOJ is an absolute joke.
call from?
Brian.
Yes. Are you a Trump supporter?
No.
Okay. What's
No.
going on?
The reason they didn't release it, at the end of the day, there's a sense of elitistness. That's not even a word. A sense of elitism that allows people to get away with things. And if you break that structure down too much, it doesn't work for anybody, good people or bad people. They didn't release it, and they never are going to release it.
They're not releasing it because they're protecting the president, probably among other people. There was a concerted effort by this administration to conceal it, right? That's what's happening.
Garland had the chance to do it. He didn't do it.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
They didn't?
No.
So
because federal law would have prohibited that from happening because the Ghislaine Maxwell appeal was ongoing. The Supreme Court didn't reject her final appeal until October 2025.
Okay.
So no.
Well, why is she the only one in jail?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'd like to know. I'd like to see it in the files, but they keep redacting them. The point is here, there was a law passed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is law.
Trump
this isn't
wrote into law.
That Trump did what?
Didn't Trump write something into law?
The president doesn't write laws.
Oh, I know what you mean, but
No. Do you know the three branches of government?
Yes.
What are they?
The executive, the judicial, and the
okay.
I want to say Senate.
So Senate is not the right answer. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
No,
The legislative branch.
Legislative. Thank you. Yes.
This was a piece of legislation. This was a bill passed through Congress. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sure.
Donald Trump worked to prevent that bill from passing. Okay. He tried to convince Republicans not to sign on to the discharge petition. Okay.
Right. By having people come into the skiff room and all that other stuff. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So, anyway, the point is, he did a number of things. Do you know who Todd Blanche is?
Yeah, he's Donald Trump's personal attorney. He went and did an interview with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell, yes. So Todd Blanche, his personal attorney, is coincidentally now the Deputy Attorney General.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you think about that, that's somewhat of a conflict of interest because the president is supposed to maintain clear boundaries with the Department of Justice, even though it's under the umbrella of the executive branch of government, correct?
Big time.
Right. So his personal attorney, right, has essentially, first of all, he was the person who's come forward today and said, we're not releasing all of the files. But besides that point, he's done things like when Trump was calling it a hoax. Once we knew that Pam Bondi informed Trump that he was in the files in the spring, the oversight committee, right, that we're talking about said, well, we're going to subpoena the testimony of Ghislaine Maxwell. And when that happened, right, so we're going to subpoena the testimony, suddenly his personal attorney, now the Deputy Attorney General, ran down to go meet her, right?
Right.
And they had a 2-day meeting, a proffer session, which no new information was provided other than Donald Trump had not engaged in any inappropriate conduct in front of her. She was rewarded for that meeting and transferred to a minimum security dorm. Right? Which is deeply disturbing because she's a violent convicted sex offender. She participated in the abuse. Yeah. The administration rewarded her. People in the prison are outraged. That dorm that she's in Camp Bryan, Texas, is not for violent offenders. So people are outraged, including the survivors, by the way. But that's an example of what I'm talking about, right? I accused that meeting of being quid pro quo before he even sat down with her. Turns out it was. They've not been clear about the transfer at all. So there's a number of things that have happened, right? Kash Patel not telling the truth under oath. If you read the Epstein files today, you would have seen a letter in there from Bondi to Patel stating, I requested you turn over the Epstein files, and you didn't. You sent me some and then missed a truckload of files. Why? That's really concerning, right? They were with the field office. They were with the field office in New York. And then she sent him a letter saying, I want you to look into this. Why did this happen? Because they're trying to protect the president. It's obvious why it happened. It's the same reason the deputy attorney general is his personal attorney. It's the same reason he tried to convince Republicans not to sign on to the discharge petition. It's the same reason Kash Patel lied under oath. And it's the same reason now that a bill that passed the House and the Senate, by the way, unanimous consent in the Senate, meaning 100 senators greenlit this bill. The president had no choice but to sign it at that point because it was veto proof. They had a supermajority. Okay? He had no choice. He had to sign the bill. So the president didn't create any laws. He worked pretty damn hard to keep this from the American people. And now today, the law demands they release it by the end of the day today. And they released less than 10% with 95% redacted.
But that's my other question. Have you heard? Because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and what I'm wondering, I heard some lady from the Justice Department say that there was a way to find out what was redacted. You know how they had all those FBI agents go through and redact Donald's name or something like that.
You mean from the Oversight Committee?
There's a way to find out what exactly was redacted.
The Oversight Committee,
they about $1 billion.
That's what they're saying, that they would like to remove the redactions. But at the end of the day, this is not going to be an easy task. I mean, it's going to be very difficult. If they're just blatantly breaking the law. Remember, I'm explaining to you, over 90% of these files were redacted. Not some, almost all of them were redacted. They redacted government officials, their names. That's the names we wanted. But the important part to understand is that the law that we discussed earlier, right, specifically states that those redactions need to be approved. They need to be explained. You can't just redact whatever you want. You can't just redact whatever you feel like. You have to explain why these redactions are necessary.
Right, but they did that with Trump.
What do you mean?
Right. They scratched his name out of.
We don't know.
I don't know all the details, and I'm getting some wrong. But they Pam Bondi, that bitch, had FBI agents go through and scratch Donald's name out. Bunches of times.
It appears that way, but again, I'm not going to say that 100% because I don't know. But what I do know, I think the answer to that question is obvious, right? Like, we don't know. We don't know what these redactions are, but why, I guess, is the question. Some people will say, well, he's protecting his friends. I don't think it really matters at this point. The point is they're breaking the law, right? Whatever it is, they don't want us to see it, and the law demands that we get to see it. And they're just blatantly saying, screw you, we don't care what the law says, we are 100% not listening to you. So now they're in contempt of court because multiple federal judges have said the files are to be released. They are in contempt now.
But that won't go anywhere. That won't go up. But that's where the elitism comes into play, because it's not just him. It's Bill Clinton. It's Bill Gates. It's even that unmade bed looking dude. Bannon.
Oh yeah, he was close with Epstein too. Yep.
Yeah, it's all of those folks. It's the elitism. They're trying, because access to power can get you out of a lot of trouble. And if all of this stuff gets released, then that access is toothless. And nobody in power wants that. I don't care what color you are. Diddy, none of them. And that's the thing that is driving me
Here's the thing. Here's the thing for me, right? I don't really care about political affiliation when it comes to who gets exposed here. I just want them all exposed. This isn't specifically about Trump. This isn't specifically about anyone.
Right.
Okay?
Right. But Trump has broken laws left, right, and center, and nobody's made him pay for it. So why do we think that it's going to break through now?
I don't remember saying that. I thought he'd pay for it. I'm simply pointing out they're breaking the law. Something can happen after the midterms, but you obviously don't have the votes right now to remove him. But it's very clear they've broken the law. It's very clear there's a coordinated cover-up. There's very clear, this is all very clear evidence that supports articles of impeachment. So can he be removed? Yes. Should he be removed? Yes. Will he be removed? I don't know. We'll see.
Will he?
We'll see. Drema, you don't need to announce your departure. This isn't a fucking airport. We don't care. But thanks for calling in, dude. Appreciate it. If you're a Trump supporter and you want to comment on this, call in. 908-652-3703. That's the phone number. The Epstein files were released today, but only part of them. Less than 10% of them. Todd Blanche has stated the rest will be released in the coming weeks. The rest will be released in the coming weeks. What does that mean? We have no idea. But what we know for sure is that the law doesn't allow for releasing them in the coming weeks. The law demands you release them now. And we don't have them. And that's a problem. And that's illegal. And you should be furious about that. But yet all I'm seeing is Trump supporters across the board. Whataboutism, defending Donald Trump. Man, it's very telling. Listen, I want this. I want these people to speak. I want them to defend Trump. I want the record to show that even when it comes to issues like this, they will not waver. So maybe other people who support Trump can see, wow, we're defending this too? That speaks volumes to me.
Call from.
Yeah, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay, what's your take?
My what?
What's your take?
Well, so I was watching you a little bit ago here, and I gotta say, I don't support everything Trump is doing. All right, but I gotta say that you gotta take it easy on him a little bit.
I got to take it easy on him. Why?
He's doing what?
Why would I take it easy on him?
He's trying to correct.
The real Adrian Berg. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs, dude. Appreciate you, Adrian. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Man, I'll tell you what, I really had a good point.
You sure about that?
On your last caller.
You sure about that?
I did.
You positive?
I did.
But you lost it?
I did.
Damn it.
I did.
So what's your take? Do you support this or not?
I gotta say, it's no, I don't. I don't support the redaction on the whole Epstein thing.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay.
And I think it's absolute bullshit that we have to, as Trump supporters, after all we've been through, with everybody coming out saying, hey, release the files. And then we finally do, and everything's fucking redacted to shit.
They didn't even
And
release all the files. They
nobody
only
can see anything,
They only
right?
released less than 10% of them.
Right. I'm kind of pissed about that. As a Trump supporter, I'm kind of pissed about that.
I hear you. So you're
I'm very
fighting
pissed about
inside,
that.
like this is wrong. This is wrong. It's wrong that the files that they're breaking the law. It's clear, man. You feel it inside that there's a cover up. It's time to accept it.
Well, I feel. Well, and so it's not that I am going to change my position on a lot of things that he's doing, but
Wow.
I do know for a fact that there is a lot of things that that are going on within our government that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, are absolutely, completely screwed up.
Okay, that's nice, but like,
There's no
you're
reason
going to continue
why
to support Trump regardless? Is that what you're telling me? That this is not serious enough for you, for them to break the law? But guys, this is an insult to the victims and the American people. I mean, it's the biggest insult to the victims, first and foremost.
Hold on.
To the American people.
Hold on.
I am holding on, but you got to talk quicker.
Hold on.
You got to talk faster from my audience, okay? They don't want to sit here and listen to you comb through answers. You got to talk quicker, okay?
Okay. Well, so I'm not gonna apologize for what President Trump is doing right now. And okay, so he has a lot of things that people don't approve of, but at the same time, when President Obama was doing the same things, nobody had anything negative to say about that. When he was negative, or when he was being deporter in chief, and everybody was championing the whole scenario with that.
Are you actually whataboutism to a completely unrelated topic? Obama and deportation.
No. Well, I'm just saying. And I mean, that right now is the biggest issue right now is people with President Trump is his deportation, and that's what you see every day in the media and everything else, right?
That's one of many, and I've debated that topic. I've debated that topic for I don't know how long, so many times, thousands of times. Okay, and what he is doing is wrong, and it has to do with the constitutionality of those removals. Obama had procedural and statutory issues with his removals. They were not unconstitutional. This is not related to this, though.
No, it's exactly the same.
We're talking about the Epstein files. We're talking about the Epstein files. Stop talking about Obama. I know you hate Obama, and we all know why, but we're not talking about Obama.
I don't. No. I do not hate Obama. I do not, absolutely do not hate Obama. I actually thought that Obama had a fucking really, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear. I absolutely did not hate the whole Affordable Care Act. I thought was a great proposal, but it was executed wrong. And, I thought it had a lot of great potential. But anywho, in regards to the Epstein thing, I just don't think that we're approaching it the right way.
Okay, well, how else should we approach it? We passed legislation through Congress. The president signed it. What else can we possibly do? There was only one nay vote. 100 senators greenlit the bill. 100. It passed with unanimous consent.
Well, the unfortunate part about it is a lot of times when stuff comes out legally and things are redacted, it's because things are still under active investigation.
Oh,
They're still,
so did the Epstein files
part.
specifically state in the law that they must clarify what the redactions are for? And do you think that it's a coincidence that that Donald Trump launched an investigation into his perceived political opponent's relationship with Epstein after he couldn't convince Republicans not to sign on to the discharge petition? Do you think that's kind of strange? How when he figures out he can't get Republicans not to sign on to the discharge petition, that he launches an investigation. Do you think it's weird at all? Does that make you think something? Do you think it's weird at all that Ghislaine Maxwell filed a motion with a federal court yesterday, before the release of the Epstein files? When the bill specifically states redactions.
No.
They're not allowed to redact whatever they want. They have to ask for approval. They need to specify why they made such redactions.
No, actually, I don't.
Okay, well,
I don't,
wrong.
because
it does. It literally says that. Did you see what the Oversight Committee said today? They violated the law by not specifying what the redactions were. They did not release all of the files as the law demanded.
No, I did not see. However, I do know that under usual law enforcement tactics, if you do have things that are still under investigation, that you do not have to release them to the public. It has nothing to do with
law enforcement tactics.
Oh, it absolutely fucking does.
No, it doesn't.
It absolutely does.
No, it doesn't. There's federal laws. There's federal laws. It has nothing to do with law enforcement tactics. What are you talking about? There's federal law in the case of ongoing appeals and
but
such.
there's also
the court makes decisions to seal files. There was legislation passed specifying any redactions need to be explained. You can't just redact whatever you want. They very carefully crafted this bill so they wouldn't redact information that pertained to people who may have engaged in criminal conduct. It was deliberately crafted this way. They knew what they were doing. Okay? It has nothing to do with law enforcement tactics.
Well, it does. I mean,
no, it doesn't. I just told you it doesn't. Okay? It doesn't. Thank you.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking my call. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You really should go research some of this stuff, though.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah,
but
I think I am. I would highly recommend it, as a matter of fact. Do you think you can commit to that for me? That when you are better tomorrow, you can, educate yourself a little bit on this stuff?
And okay, all right. So anytime anyone says educate yourself, they already discredit themselves. I'm sorry, but especially when it comes to internet things.
Yeah.
I just hate to bring up these talking points and stuff like that, and that's a lot of times what we do is we beat each other up over these things, but we're surrounded by these politicians that are telling us this stuff, and they're surrounded by people that are way better lawyers and way better fucking constitutional fucking scholars and stuff like that.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Honestly, man, I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to be polite and hear you out. Everybody deserves a chance to give a take, but I got to be honest, man. What you're saying makes absolutely no sense. I'm trying to understand what you're talking about. I really don't know what you're talking about. Jerry Tyler, thank you for the 20 joules.
Well, what I'm saying is, there's a lot of people that are way better at doing what we're doing, that are at the top level of, the government, that are doing this.
What are you talking about?
Along
Better
this
than
out
us.
and
Better
along
than us.
that out, and
Better than us at what?
Just in general of understanding of the laws and how they apply to what we're doing, and how we're talking right now. You're saying, oh well, this isn't legal, and
yeah, because I know what I'm talking about.
And this isn't
yeah,
legal.
because I know what I'm talking about. Why don't you look it up right
well,
now while
you
we're on
can
the
say
phone?
that all you want.
So why don't you do me a favor? We're on the phone right now. You have a computer near you, right?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, then I guess you're screwed. But why don't you go look it up and you'll see that I'm right, okay? That would
Well,
be the
I can
next
take
step.
your word for it.
How about you
What?
look it up and fact check me? I encourage you to do that. Are your pajamas nearby?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, I would go find them. Have a good night. Holy moly. If you're a Trump supporter, let's hear your take. 908-652-3703. I really don't care. I want to hear takes. Give me takes. Give me takes. Why are you not pissed? Why are you not angry? Listen, it's no longer a conspiracy. The more I thought about it, I don't take calls from unknown numbers. Good try though. They are now in violation of federal law. They are now in violation of federal law. Are you okay with that? Are you guys okay with that? That's the question. Is the party of law and order okay with the Department of Justice playing in your face? That's the question. Remember, this is the party that tells me crime is out of control. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice is committing crime. They're breaking the law right now. This is a law. They're breaking it. That's the good thing about this. It's no longer a conspiracy. There's no way to deny this anymore. So that's cool. You can now stand 10 toes down and say, yes, I support corruption. It's up to you. Yes, are you a Trump supporter?
Drew Miller.
Yeah, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
Okay, what's your take?
So I can admit Trump has been disappointing when it comes to the Epstein files, the way that he claimed that it was one of his main running points. Then he claimed that he would release them. Now, all of a sudden, then he says that it's a Democrat hoax. I am a Trump supporter, but I can't admit that is absolutely unacceptable.
Now, let
absolutely unacceptable.
Okay, and I appreciate you saying that. Let me just ask you something, though. That needs to be the line. What's your first name?
Drew.
Drew, that needs to be the line in the sand. Okay? If you're admitting that, then you're understanding the Department of Justice is actively breaking the law. The American people vote these people in, right? They pass legislation. Yeah. It passed with unanimous consent in the Senate. You know what that means?
Yes, I do.
It means 100 senators greenlit this bill. There was only one nay vote in the House. The American people deserve transparency. This is a law. This isn't an option anymore. It was an option before.
But that's another thing I can agree upon is transparency. Sorry to interrupt you, friend, but he did say he would be transparent. And that's another thing. Yes, I'm a Trump supporter, but I'm not blind to the absolute double standard of bullshit that I've noticed now.
Yeah.
So yes, I voted him in. I am a Trump supporter. I wholeheartedly supported his idea of making America great again and having us have cheaper groceries, this, that, and the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can agree that the way that he has been is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And
So,
when I see stuff like this, and I see other American citizens voicing their opinions on it, whether you're right or you're left, it doesn't change my opinion on you, right?
Yeah,
as long as
that
we can
doesn't
both
even
agree,
matter here. That doesn't even matter here. Listen, and I am on the left, obviously, right? But I will say this: that doesn't matter here. I've said this before, and I think this is a pretty common opinion among people on the left, and it's been polled, as a matter of fact. People on the left want transparency. I don't care what person is in that files that has a D next to their name. Throw them. I want them all out. I believe this is so serious, right? And not just related to Trump, but I think he's absolutely implicated, and that's why you're seeing the cover-up. It's obvious now. This is so important. I think it could change the way this country operates going forward. I think that our system relies so much on people trusting the integrity of that system. And if people are now witnessing the Department of Justice, whose entire purpose is to protect the interests of the American people, illegally keeping information from them to protect the government officials, whether it's the president or otherwise, people lose faith. How can you expect to run it? How can you expect to have a constitutional republic, a democratic constitutional republic, when people don't trust the integrity of the system? It dies. It's that serious. I don't even think people understand what they're celebrating here for the Trump supporters that are unwilling to condemn him here. If we all stood up together and said, absolutely not, we can disagree on policies, we can disagree on this, you will not do this. You will not keep this from the American people. They're quite literally admitting they're doing it. Todd Blanche was clear. Yeah, we're releasing some of them, and we'll release some of them in the next few weeks, and then some of them
right,
after
like
that.
cherry picking. Yeah,
He's not allowed to do that according to the law that was passed.
No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right, and I absolutely agree. I don't know if you were expecting me to argue so much, but no, you're right.
I've
and
seen Trump support. I've had Trump supporters come up and be done with him because of this. So it wouldn't be the first. I have. It's not. It's more common.
You are correct.
It's more common to defend him, but I've had a few that come up and say, "Yeah, this is bullshit. I'm not supporting." Now, whether they hold to that or not, I'm not there to keep track of them and whatever. But the point is, if you have all the information here, because that's the difference between, I think, people that are, for the most part, willing to support it and not. If you have all the information,
right,
you either admit they're corrupt and you don't care, or you don't know what you're talking about. There's only two options.
Right, which is worse. Which is worse? You defend it because you don't care, or you don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of people that that voted for Trump's in spite of just the left in general, which I also think is absolutely fucking stupid. It's really hard to find people, especially I've noticed on the right, it's really hard to find people that hold their convictions to an account and that are able to actually admit when Trump does something wrong. It's almost like, and again, I voted for him, but again, it's like people, because you voted for him, you feel, I don't know, I can't speak for other people, but it seems like a lot of Trump supporters, they'll defend him no matter what because it's Trump, because it's a Republican, because it's Trump. And I can't agree with that. I simply can't. Like, yes, I'm a Trump supporter. I voted for him. After I voted for him, I'm looking around and I'm going, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? This is completely different than what I voted for, and you're acting different now. Mm-hmm. And now you have the Epstein files, whether you're right or left, incriminated into the files. And I agree with you. Throw them underneath the prison, fucking bury them. Mm-hmm. But I can't agree that this is absolutely asinine. It shouldn't be happening.
And I'll be clear. I've been super fair with Trump. I have not made claims that he's engaging in abuse in these files. What I know is that he had a friendship beyond what he's previously disclosed publicly. That's how I describe it. And to whatever that is, the more they do this stuff, the more it makes me think it's pretty damn bad. And regardless,
no, of course, like they're hiding something even more nefarious,
right? Because I think at this point, if it was just like, hey, I talked to him even after I said I didn't anymore for a couple of years, I think they would have just released that. I don't think they would. I don't think they'd be playing that game here. This is blatantly admitting, yes, we're willing to break the law to keep this from you. I think part of it, and I think this is the major part that Trump supporters don't realize, is that he's depending on you being undereducated on this situation like you are on every other situation. And I'm talking about Trump supporters generally speaking. And
I respect that. Yeah.
The question becomes, how long are you willing to be played with? How long are you willing to let this guy play in your face? He's insulting you more than he's insulting me. He knows people like me know he's a crook. He knows that. But he thinks you're willing to accept that he's a crook. It comes down to whether or not you care about the country or the president. That's really what it comes down to here.
Of course. If I could add on to what you're saying, though, I don't think. Ah, man. Okay, hold on. I have to admit what you just said is right. That hurts a little bit, but I have to admit that what you just said is right. It doesn't affect you as much as it would somebody that did vote for him.
Yeah.
And even though I got to check my ego at the door here, you are right. And I have to also respect you as not like coming at me in any type of negative way. And I would hope you wouldn't think I'm coming at you in any type of negative way. I have to admit that what you are saying is absolutely correct. And now I feel like there's a lot of people that did vote for him, a lot of Trump supporters that did vote for him, that are now in like this weird, like they don't want to come out and admit it because they don't want to check their ego at the door. They don't want to be able to say that, hey, look, I voted for him, but now I'm seeing all of this and he's blatantly just doing illegal things at the moment. How would you recommend people that did vote for Trump, how do you think we should handle this moving forward?
For me, this would be a line in the sand. I don't care if this was a Democrat up there. The willingness to just blatantly break the law in regards to an issue that is so incredibly sensitive and serious, not just relative to the survivors, although that's very important and needs to be considered first and foremost. But in terms of what potential blackmail and corruption has occurred behind the scenes in our political system as a result of lack of transparency in regards to these files. Maybe there's people who walk up to people and say, I know you're in the files. Maybe they were friends with Epstein. Maybe they engaged in behavior. Maybe they didn't. But it says, hey, you're in the files, and if you do this, I'm going to leave. Who knows what kind of blackmail has spun out of this? Maybe people that aren't in the files are blackmailing people that are. Maybe they're voting a certain way because they're scared they're going to get
blackmail on everybody too.
Maybe they're voting a certain way because they don't want that information exposed about them. Do you realize the amount of leverage you could have over someone just by that person being in the files, which is part of the reason people believe that there was, people believe
life-changing and political altering.
But listen, that's part of the reason people believe there was a Rolodex in the beginning, which Kash Patel stated for years there was, and stated that the former director of the FBI was in possession of it. Then when he got into power as director of the FBI, said under oath that there was no evidence any young girls were trafficked to anyone but Epstein himself. Because, and I want you to hear this, people believe, too, that Epstein was blackmailing people. So God knows how much blackmail has happened as a result of that blackmail. Maybe people have that information in government, or maybe in other countries' governments or other countries' intelligence agencies, and they're able to hold that over the heads of members of Congress in this country, maybe the president. And they're saying, hey, if you don't vote this way, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, I'm going to expose that you're in there. I have this information on you, and if you don't do what I say, you're in trouble. That's a tremendous amount of power, and that's part of the reason it needs to be exposed.
You are okay. So can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the point? So not the point. Let me ask this as sincere as I can. What is your expected outcome of doing what you're doing right now? Is it to change the opinions of people that voted for Trump, or is it to bring more, how do I say this? Sorry, I'm not. I'm trying to think.
I know your question. Yeah, I have changed people's minds. I usually stream on TikTok. I just started on debating on YouTube about a month ago. And I just started over here, but it's the same goal. It's so you provoke thought. That's what you do. You're provoking thought. People hear what you say, they fact check, they become interested, they further educate themselves. Keep people interested in these topics. Look how many people that I've talked to just over the last month that didn't know any of this information. I've had people call today that didn't know about the Transparency Act. They didn't know a law was passed. They didn't know they're breaking the law. They didn't know that they couldn't just redact information not relative to victims' privacy, that this bill was crafted for the sole purpose of exposing people who are in the files who engaged in either unethical or criminal behavior. You understand? So provoking thought is the primary goal.
So you're basically promoting critical thinking and thinking for yourself,
yes,
basically, regardless of what aisle you sit on.
Yes.
Then I wholeheartedly respect that, and I thank you for the really good conversation. And you're correct, man. You know, and I really hope that a lot of other people that voted for Trump can think for themselves. I feel like a lot of people fall into that. I feel like regardless of whether you vote left or right, I feel like there's a majority, actually not a majority, I feel like the majority vote based on thinking for who, like crowd think, if that makes sense.
I'll say
a bunch of people vote left.
Right. Yeah. You're. Go ahead. Finish.
Sorry. So a lot of people vote left because, you know, they have family members or friends that vote left. A lot of people vote right because they have family members and friends that vote right, and they don't really think for themselves on policy and on repercussions of voting people in. Like, people voted Trump in specifically just because Trump, and fuck everybody else, pardon my language. But you know, they voted Trump in because they're like, we want Trump, we don't want this leftist. Or they voted Biden in because screw Trump. And they didn't consider or take into consideration each opposing side's actual, I don't want to say nefarious, but actual hidden agendas and open agendas. They didn't care about that. They voted just in spite of the name of the person, whether it's Democrat or Republican.
So one of the, and I'll just finish it here, and thank you for calling in. Let me just explain this though really quick. One of the primary reasons we have such an issue in our political system today is our inability to critically analyze. Now, things have gotten significantly worse because of social media, right? Advancements in technology. Yeah. And the way that social media operates, people are getting 20, 30, 40, 50 times the information per hour than they were receiving 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And we know that this country doesn't really emphasize critical thinking. We have a two-party system. People typically vote along those party lines. And unfortunately, with social media coming more into play and playing a major role in our political system, they have used that to their advantage to take advantage of those lack of critical thinking skills. I can't tell people who to vote for. I can't say you need to vote for this person. You should. People don't. That doesn't do anything to anyone. If I sat up here and said, guys, you need to vote Democrat, you need to, people would just ignore what I'm saying. But you stick to the truth and you try and provoke thought so people will further educate themselves on these topics. On this topic in particular, I would suggest that you go read the Epstein files and look at how much of that information is redacted. I encourage you to read the Epstein Transparency Act, right? And I encourage you to see if they're following the law. Then go look at the statement by the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and then look at the statement by the Oversight Committee. And you're going to have to make a decision. Are you okay with the President of the United States and the Department of Justice blatantly breaking the law to keep otherwise damning information from the American people? And that is your duty as an American citizen to say no. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. If you are a Trump supporter and you want to call in, the number is 908-652-3703. Listen, I've had Trump supporters come up and question. And a lot of times I'll get Trump supporters who question, and they're right on the brink of saying, you know what, this is just too far for me. But a lot of times they just can't do it. They just can't do it. I don't know if it's because they have relationships, they're surrounded by people who vote the same way, whatever the case is. But they just can't seem to do it. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, what's your take? Go ahead.
Hey, listen, I talked to you earlier, and, since I talked to you earlier, I've been...
You're back again. You're back again.
Yeah.
Did you miss me or something? Is that why you're calling back?
I did miss you. However, I want to say that I really do appreciate what you're doing, like staying neutral and things. And I want to say that,
well, I'm not neutral. I think Trump is not good, and I think he should not be president. I think he's breaking the law here. But in the sense that you have to make your own decision. I'm not your parent. I can only try and encourage you to do the work. I can't even do the work for you. I can provoke interest in a topic. I can provoke thought. I can give facts that might further interest you in researching them. But I can't make decisions for you. You have to do that. I'm telling everyone here, if we allow things like this, if we allow this to continue, there's not going to be anything left for our children or our grandchildren. And that's not an exaggeration.
No, and you're absolutely 100% right. And that's why I wanted to call back and tell you that you're absolutely dead on. Okay. I may be a Trump supporter, but I only support Trump in certain policies that he's enacted, but I don't support him in all of his policies that he's enacted.
I get it. And I appreciate you for thinking about that. And here's my advice to you. Go and research the things that I told you to look up. You need to look at the Epstein Transparency Act. You need to see what the law is. You need to see if they're obeying the law. And I encourage you to look at the files and look at how many redactions there are. And then look at what the Oversight Committee said. And then look at what Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, said. That's a great start for anyone who wants to get a baseline of information about what's happening here. Thank you for calling in, dude. I got to run. Thanks for calling in. Take care. If you are a Trump supporter, you can call in 908-652-3703. That is the number to call in. That is the number to call in. Yeah, there's no, and I've been doing this for a while and did it successfully on TikTok for a long time. The truth is that people are going to make whatever decisions they're going to make. They always have to come to their own conclusion. Sometimes even people have told me like, hey, watching your lives provoked me. I'm now voting differently because I've watched you for that. And it's changed my mind. But what they really mean is you provoked me to go research some of my opinions further. That's really what they mean. That's all you can do. That's all anyone can do is plant a seed. How long did Biden have the files? The president doesn't have unilateral authority in this circumstance, right? It's the Department of Justice you're talking about. The Department of Justice operates under the executive branch, but what you're not understanding is that the Ghislaine Maxwell appeal was ongoing during the Biden administration, would have prevented the release of the files, at least without large redactions. There was an ongoing appeal. You can't release information related to an ongoing appeal. There was a case ongoing, so the court had sealed those documents at the time. Corey says they were sealed until September 2024. That's right, Corey, but the Supreme Court didn't even reject her last appeal until October 2025. So she really, it was impossible under the Biden administration. John Stevens, listen, if you're just going to keep crying, I know you love Trump, but I can't help you, buddy. Right? You can call in and cry, but you can't cry in the chat. 908-652-3703. 707-888-0303. Man, it's always weird when people say the Don. Like a boss, you mean? Like a boss? Veterans hate Trump. Well, sadly, some of them love him. I had a person in here who thought that the warrior dividends were being paid by the tariffs. Which, again, that's what I mean by, like, further educating yourself. The warrior dividend payments were not paid by the tariffs. Right? These were funds that came from Congress, that were appropriated by Congress through the one big beautiful bill, right? Which then was allocated to the Department of Defense to support basic housing allowances for service members. So the president claimed that tariffs contributed to the funding. Right? He says, yeah, they were paid for by tariffs. He really just changed the name of already appropriated funds. The direct source of the funding of the warrior dividend payments was congressional appropriation, not tariff revenue. But that's the point. That's why people believe things, because they don't research them any further. E.E. Green, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Guys, I would appreciate contributing to the gifting goal. It helps push the live. Would appreciate hitting a thumbs up button, hitting the share button. All of those things helps push the live. If you are a Trump supporter, you can call in. Hello, are you a Trump supporter?
Right? Contributing to the funding.
Hi, are you a Trump supporter?
For my tariffs. You really just changed the
Hi, you have to turn the stream off in the background.
The direct source of the funding.
You have to turn the stream off, bud.
Was Congress.
How you doing? How you doing? Hello? I didn't say turn your...
Hello?
Yes, how you doing?
Yeah. I'm alright.
Okay, you got to turn my stream off, though, okay? Can't listen to my stream at the same time.
My bad. I'm trying to listen to it at the same time so we can talk at the same time, but apparently can't do it.
No. I can hear myself talking in the background. You just have to mute the stream. You can hear me on the phone.
I made it. I mean, I'm kind of old school, so.
Old school? That has nothing to do. Old school has not. What do you mean you're old school? Being old school has nothing to do with turning the stream down. Any person who takes calls on a podcast or a live stream will tell you to turn the stream down.
I'm HHD. I got you. I can actually read your lips on the thing, so I can do both. I'm kind of deaf. I had surgery.
Okay, well you can't read my lips. I promise you that. What's going on, dude?
Well, I mean, if I'm watching Sam up, like you could, yeah, I see you right now, dude. I mean,
what's going on, man? What's your take? I got it. We don't need to worry about lip reading. What's going on? How are you? What's your take?
No, I'm just calling just about Trump supporter, and I don't really care about like the whole expert thing.
Well, that's what we're talking. We're talking about. I do debate the border and immigration all the time, but today I'm talking about the Epstein files because it's a really big deal. It's the big story across the board. What specifically about the border? What about deportation do you support? I'll give you a shot. Go ahead.
I don't care about that either. I mean,
didn't you just tell me that's what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, my point of view, I'm telling you right now, my point of view about Trump, he opened my eyes between a lot of, I want to shut everything down. I got HAC. But my point of view about Trump, he actually opened my eyes between a lot of things I never seen before, like from Obama to Bill Clinton. I mean, he just actually opened my eyes from a lot of things in my life, which I've been around and seen a lot of things, and that's why I support Donald Trump.
Can you give me an example? He opened your eyes to a lot of things. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, just like a lot of people say, well, Donald Trump was like racial or prejudiced, and it's like, I mean, if you pull up facts from like like everybody want to say these bad things about Trump, and it's like it's not about like between prejudice and all that. Like he actually opened my eyes between what you can see as a president and what the views I would see as him.
What are
I
you?
like
I,
about
sir. No
about
offense or
like,
anything. No offense or anything. I don't know what you're
oh,
saying.
I'm sorry.
You have to be a little more clear when you're speaking. I don't
All right,
really understand.
Donald Trump opened my eyes from things that people want to downgrade him for what he is and what he represents.
Okay, meaning what? You're not on Bluetooth, right?
No, not right now. No,
You're just talking to me through your phone because Bluetooth makes it harder for me to hear you. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't have headset in or anything.
No, I do not.
So please be straightforward. What do you mean when you say he opened your eyes? Which eye? Which eye did he open for you?
Like I actually like Obama. Good example. I like Obama. And
what about
I
Obama?
Used to stand for Obama. I used to stand for the views of what he used to stand for.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about like my views of what I think about Donald Trump. Like,
can you stop doing whatever you're doing and just pay attention to talking to me? Whatever you're doing, I hear you messing around with something. Stop doing that. Focus on the conversation. We don't need to be multitasking here, I can tell. Let's just talk, okay? Go ahead. What's your take? Please just be straightforward.
All right. When he opened my eyes about like what he stands for,
okay,
and
which is what,
like aggressions and stuff. Okay, we can talk about like I know my brain do 5 steps there, but like aggressions. All right. Like everybody said, well, illegals can't vote, right?
Immigration, yeah, they can't vote.
Yes. Yeah,
but
in my home state, in my home state, I don't know if you look at the ID on my phone where I call from, or where I call from.
No, I don't pay attention to where people are calling from. That's their business, unless they tell me.
Like, good example, they say, well, they can't vote. But then one of my best friends in this county was driving a car, and he had a car accident. It was with a semi on I-70.
Okay, so your uncle had a car accident on I-70, or your friend or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. It was friend, not uncle, friend. And when he had a car accident, not him, but his daughter died.
Okay, he got in a car accident and his daughter died. Okay.
Okay. And then when the cops showed up and they asked for the driver for their CDL license. And when they did a CDL license, they showed the license, but when the cops and inspection people that did on semi driver, I don't know, you know what BLT is, where they do the semi checks, like the tires, the airbags.
Yeah,
well, when they
did
a check, go ahead. I hear.
Well, what's the name of your friend? I actually have I actually have the ability to pull up news articles, like
I
back
can tell
50
you
years.
That's true.
Can you tell me the name of your friend so I can put it in a database and prove that this really happened?
No, but I can't tell you it's in Indianapolis.
You can't tell. Why can't you tell me the name?
Because because it's going through court. Because if you do go through court, you know, before they do a settlement.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with me looking up the news story?
You can look it up. It's in Indianapolis.
That's why I'm asking. What was the name?
The instant or actually the look up Indianapolis and look up I-70 and the truck driver.
Yeah, I want you to tell me what was the name of the person.
You can't. I mean, court of law, you can't do that. You know that because you go through court to. You can't settle that.
Listen,
you can actually look up.
Here, let me just say this to you first and foremost. I don't typically. You don't. This is why we don't accept anecdotal evidence in debates, because I can't prove this is true. Okay. Like, well, you could just be making this up, which I would bet anything you probably are. But that's besides the point. I don't typically accept anecdotal evidence. But if this is your justification for mass deportation, if that's what you're trying to claim, it's not going to. It wouldn't be just. Okay, so what is it about then?
What I'm saying is, I mean, if you look up, I mean, it was all like the CDL. When they pull them over and they ask for a CDL license, and then they call them, I would start him. I'm just saying what I mean. If you know court law, like I said,
court
you're
law?
just like if you get pulled over,
what is court law?
Okay, like if I pulled you over and then you say, you're not gonna listen names and stuff if it's proven. You know what I mean? You just.
Okay, so what is your point exactly? I'm trying to be patient here and give you an opportunity to give a take, but I don't feel like this is going anywhere. What's the point? What's the point? There's a point to
I'm
this
saying is
statement, right?
My theory is that it's like what I'm trying to justify. Everybody wants to see, like you was asking names or court dates or whatever. But if you're in the court of law, certain things you cannot say because then
what are you taught in court of law? You can't say things. What are you talking about? You said Trump opened your eyes. What is he opening your eyes to?
Confidential.
Confidential what?
Never mind, dude. I'll let you go, man.
So I sat through all of that, and I don't get to hear the end of this grand story?
Well, no, I'm trying to talk to you, but I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Like, you always want, like, you want to pull stuff up. I know.
Guy,
like,
I promise you, I'm trying to give everyone a chance to give me their take. This doesn't make any sense, what you're saying. And if you're giving me an anecdote that an undocumented immigrant did this, this, and this, I'm not interested. Anecdotes, you could be making this up. I can't verify. You won't even give me the name to verify it happened.
I'm saying, right now, if you pull up Indiana,
I don't. Okay, I thought you were going to start trying to tell me how to spell Indiana. I was about to lose it on you. I'll admit, I was about to lose it on you. Okay, I-70. The only thing I see that happened on I-70 even recently was a 45 vehicle pileup due to icy road conditions.
Well, that's not icy. I'm talking about 3 weeks before.
So in October,
I'll say that's what, huh?
In October?
Yeah.
Well, 3 weeks before would be October.
Hold on 1 second. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, October around. Let's see, we're got papers. Around between the 18th and 20th.
I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I don't typically do this. So
yeah, I know.
Here's the thing. You're actually. So I just figured this out. You're actually citing a story that you read
It's not a story.
You read this.
This is,
But it's not your friend.
It's
not.
But
it's not your friend because you have the details wrong.
Well, I mean, because it was a tragedy.
No, but you have the details wrong. It wasn't on I-70. It was on State Road 69 near I-64.
Yes, yeah.
Now we just caught you. Now we just caught you in a lie. Now we've caught you in a lie. You clearly didn't know because you lied about the details here.
Well, I mean, it was a tragedy. What I'm saying.
I know, but you said you knew them. That's the problem I have. Okay, you said it was your best friend's daughter.
Well,
that's not true. Okay, I don't like being lied to. I don't like it. It's not cool when you're trying to prove a point.
Well, you can prove a point. I'm saying when certain times when you have certain tragedies, sometimes you don't truly know the date.
Have a good night, okay?
You
Holy moly. Holy moly. If you're a Trump supporter, you can call in 908-652-3703. Holy moly, folks. Holy moly, folks. I don't even know what to say. Listen, this is why I don't ever accept anecdotes, and Trump supporters get super pissed at me for not accepting anecdotes. That's why I don't accept anecdotes. Yeah, that's why. That's exactly why. All right. If you're a Trump supporter, call in 908-652-3703. Jennifer's on our side. Can maggots type a sentence without spelling or a grammatical error? No, they really can't. As they struggle deeply with it. I mean, it's not even like at the time where you would be that lubricated, I guess would be the best way to put it. And these people are over that limit. I mean, that's not the first either. We've had several people tonight with really bizarre takes. Anyway, to reiterate, if you are a Trump supporter or otherwise, understand the administration has proven today by their unwillingness to release 100% of the Epstein files that they did in fact cover this up. They are in violation of federal law. They are in contempt. They violated a subpoena. They did not release all the files as the law says they were supposed to. They didn't specify what the redactions were for. And here we are. And I mean, most of the files that were released were redacted. Entire pages blanked out. I'm furious. I mean, I'm pissed the fuck off. I was really pissed off earlier. It's hard to imagine how the survivors feel. It's hard for me to get over this. I'm so discouraged. What happens now that they've blown the deadline? Well, I think you would initiate contempt proceedings. That's really what needs to happen. But more importantly, above everything else, the oversight committee needs to be as loud as they've ever been now. They need to be screaming from the hilltops that they are breaking the law. Every single day, they should hold a press conference tomorrow. They should hold a press conference. They should have held one today. I know they made statements, but they should hold a press conference. They should draw attention to this as much as possible. Make the biggest stink. Because you can't just say, well, you know what, they're going to release it anyway eventually. Let's just hope they do. And no, you got to hold their feet to the fire. Do not let these people get away with this. They're in violation of the law. the Oversight Committee released a statement, and I'll pull that up for everybody here so I can read it. It's very important. If you are a Trump supporter, call in. Don't wait. Call in right now if you're a Trump supporter. If you support Trump, call in. Don't run. I know you're scared to admit you support Trump right now. I know you're embarrassed to admit that you support Trump right now, and I get that. I would be too. But you should call in. And you should tell me what your take is on this. Suddenly, they're not concerned about it. Suddenly, they're quiet, everybody. Here's the statement from the Oversight Committee today. Donald Trump and the Department of Justice are now violating federal law as they continue covering up the facts and evidence about Jeffrey Epstein's decades-long, billion-dollar international sex trafficking ring. For months, Pam Bondi has denied survivors the transparency and accountability they have demanded and deserve, and has defied the Oversight Committee's subpoena. The Department of Justice is now making it clear it intends to defy Congress itself, even as it gives star treatment to Epstein's convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. Courts around the country have repeatedly intervened when this administration has broken the law. We are now examining all legal options in the face of this violation of federal law. The survivors of this nightmare deserve justice, the co-conspirators must be held accountable, and the American people deserve complete transparency from the DOJ. You know, it's funny. I remember I've seen Trump supporters quite literally to claim that if this happened, they would stop supporting him, and those same Trump supporters are still supporting him. Man, just say you're scared to call in. Just say you're scared to call in. No one's belittling anyone. Shut the fuck up. Just say you're scared to call in. Don't make excuses. We're not interested in excuses. Just say you're too embarrassed to admit you still support this. We've had Republicans call in that say they don't support this anymore. But if you are a Trump supporter and you still support what's happening, pick up your phone and call in. Pick up your phone and call in. Don't make excuses. We're not interested in excuses. I'm over the excuses. I'm far past listening to the excuses. I've had enough. Don't care. Sorry. Not sorry. Sorry. Absolutely not sorry. Man, when I was looking through the pictures earlier in the release of these Epstein files, there are some really disturbing photographs in there. I mean, really disturbing stuff. This was a sick dude and a sick woman. They were sick. Yeah, you would like Nick Fuentes Muppet. You would like Nick Fuentes Muppet. That checks. That definitely checks. Listen. You guys tell on yourselves. You tell on yourselves. Continuously you tell on yourselves. I don't even have to do it at this point. I just point out the obvious. And you guys scream from the top of your lungs. Yes, we are exactly who you thought we were. Yes, we will be willing to defend even people engaged in pedophilia. Yes, we will be willing to defend people who engaged in the worst category of crime you can engage in. We will defend those. Because we love Donald Trump. We will never stop supporting Donald Trump. We're in love with Donald Trump. And he wouldn't let you sleep on his doormat. That's the sad reality. He wouldn't let you sleep on his doormat. Yes. Are you a Trump supporter? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Are you a Trump supporter, sir? What's your name?
My name is David Hale.
Hi,
and
David.
I don't necessarily support Trump, but I do think that he's still the better option over Kamala.
Who'd you vote for?
So and yes, I do agree that we need to stop electing schmucks into the office
and that yes, if you're a pedophile, you should not even have a chance of being elected.
Who'd you vote for?
But, well, I'm actually 17, so.
Yeah, dude, that's no offense or anything, man. Like, and I appreciate you calling in. At least you have more courage than these adult Trump supporters. But I can't talk to people who are minors because with this topic, it's just not appropriate. But I appreciate you calling in, dude. At least you had the courage to call in. But it's not appropriate. I can't put minors in harm's way when we're discussing this. Because if someone in the chat disagrees with what you're saying, then they could go harass you, and then that would be my responsibility because you're not an adult. So, but I appreciate you being engaged in politics. Because I was engaged in politics when I was 17 too, and I was engaged in politics when I was 12, and interested in politics from as long as I can remember. So, you know, I appreciate being engaged in politics. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. I would just encourage you to think critically.
Call from
Greg.
Greg, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Greg, what's your take?
What's my what?
What's your take?
Okay. I'm just have there been any photos that came out with Trump in any compromising positions himself personally?
No. So here's the thing, okay? And apparently you're not.
I'm asking the question.
I know.
It's a yes or no? No.
No, it's not a yes or no. I need to explain.
Okay.
They haven't released all the They've released less than 10% of the Epstein files. There was a law passed called the Epstein Transparency Act. You're aware of that, correct?
Sort of. I didn't really follow it.
So Donald Trump was trying to keep the Epstein files from the American people. He refused to release them. Eventually, what happened was, a bill went to the floor and passed the House with one nay vote, a Republican, and unanimous consent in the Senate. Okay? So it was a veto-proof bill. Trump had to sign it. He tried to convince, the very last minute, he worked to keep this from getting to the floor. Tried to convince Republicans not to sign on to the discharge petition, interfered in several ways, sent his deputy attorney general to sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell. The director of the FBI lied about this, all this different stuff. So he has to sign it. It passes with a supermajority. It's veto-proof. And it's signed into law. The Department of Justice, by law,
it passed with a supermajority?
Yes. Unanimous consent in the Senate, which, you know what unanimous consent means?
It's a supermajority, no?
What's unanimous consent mean?
Or everybody voted for it?
Unanimous consent
I don't
means
know.
100 senators greenlit the bill.
Okay.
It passed with one nay vote in the House. The reason I mention that is because it had overwhelming support. The president wouldn't have been able to not sign this because they would have been able to override the veto. That's the reason I brought this up. But the point is that it gets signed into law, not by the president's choice. He tried to prevent this from happening. And the Department of Justice had 30 days by law to release all of the Epstein files in downloadable form. We're all expecting them to be released. And on the day they're supposed to release them, they release 10% of them, and they're largely redacted. That's in violation of federal law. Todd Blanche comes out and says, well, yeah, it might be against the law, but this is why... Are
redactions... is there no laws that redactions have to take place to protect innocent people?
Yeah, it's written in the bill that the redactions need to explain why they made redactions targeted towards victims' privacy. But it's clear in here it's not just victims' privacy.
Redactions are illegal. I'm just asking.
They're not legal. They're only with explanation. They're legal. There was no explanation. So no, they would not be considered legal in the bill by law. The redactions, there were government officials redacted. There's all sorts of information redacted that has nothing to do with victims' privacy. There's entire pages, multiple pages. I think that's terrible. So regardless, not releasing all of these files is in violation of federal law. In conjunction with Trump's effort to conceal this information and prevent this from getting to the American people, and now the Department of Justice working under the executive branch, very obviously blatantly breaking the law, this should be the line in the sand for Trump supporters. I no longer can support this guy.
Well, ultimately, don't you think it's going to go to court for over these non-redactions or redactions without explanation? Don't you think it'll end up in court?
I'm sorry.
To say that
repeat
the
that
law
again.
has been broken. Don't you think that the redactions without an explanation of redaction that will go to court? It will be an ongoing litigation.
No,
correct or
they
not?
already released it. No, so what will happen is these guys are in contempt. So there needs to be contempt.
So they'll be prosecuted when the Democrats take control again?
I would hope so. But I can't say at this point. I don't know how this is all going to turn out, but I would imagine that needs to happen, yeah. And I don't think it's just...
Well, I'm just curious.
There are
I'm just
Republicans
curious
that are
something.
not thrilled with it either. It's not just Democrats.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just curious if all of this fighting goes on and whatnot, how many Democrats are going to fall in this thing? Is Trump playing genius here and kind of,
Why would he
back trolling and then
why would he break the law to play Why would he break the law to play genius? I don't understand what you mean.
Because he's going to get the Democrats to come forward with full steam to release everything, and then we're going to see more Democrats
They
fall
already
than Republicans.
did. The
That's
Democrats already did. The legislation passed. Democrats want transparency. If you're asking, are there going to be Democrats exposing this? Certainly. And there's going to be Republicans exposing this. It's not a party thing. So if there are Democrats like whoever that have engaged in unethical or criminal conduct, they need to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it always Republicans counting how many Democrats are going to be exposed? In my experience, in conversations with Democrats, they overwhelmingly support transparency. It's Republicans that are defending politicians, particularly Donald Trump.
Well, we'll see when it all comes out.
No, it's not.
Right now
but
they're
it's
trying
not
to
coming out. They're breaking the law. That's the point.
Okay, so you're saying 100% should be released immediately. Weren't we talking about
law. It's the law.
600,000 pages of information?
Oh my God. It's
Wasn't
not
it something
me,
like that originally?
Sir. It's not me saying.
No, I'm saying how many pages have to be? You would be breaking the law to release them immediately without going through them to
They
redact
had
them.
30
Am I
days.
correct or not?
They had 30 days
30 days
to do
to
it.
do 600,000 pages.
They had, yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. That's why they had 30 days.
I'm pulling a number out of the hat because I don't remember the number. But how many pages of documents have they supposedly been supposed to release? That's what I'm asking.
I don't know the exact
Do you
number.
know?
It's thousands, but that's not
I
the
heard
point.
600,000.
I
That's
don't know.
a lot of pages.
I don't know
to
what.
go through.
Regardless, they had 30 days. Do you know the amount of people working on this? They were ordered to drop everything in the National Security Division and begin this process.
They said drop everything in the decree.
Yes.
Drop everything and
But
give
they
us
didn't do
everything
it.
in 30 days.
That's what we were told. But that
Was 30 days a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah.
That'll go to court. These things will all go to court.
Do you understand? Let me ask you a question. Do you understand? Hold on, excuse me.
I'm just kind of wondering.
No, you're not.
People can look bad even though they're trying to do the right thing is what I'm saying.
What you're doing is this
game.
Okay,
go ahead.
You're doing this game where you go, I'm just saying, I don't know, maybe this and that. What you're doing is you're playing stupid here. They had 30 days to release it for a reason. Okay? 30 days to release it.
Okay.
They didn't come forward in those 30 days and say, man, this is too much. We need an extension. Oh, my God, we can't get all this redacted. They waited till it was time to release it and said, we're not going to release it all. We'll release it. And they didn't explain why. They just said, we're going to release it when we want to release it. And we're going to redact what we want to redact. And that's against the law. Period.
Okay.
If you're trying to make excuses.
They'll pay the piper in the future.
Yeah, you think so?
Yep.
You think so?
Well, I would think so if the Democrats take control in 2028. Yes, they'll pay the piper.
Trump doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care about the law. Even with this the TikTok ban was just signed, right?
He seems to follow
that was
the
signed
law
into
quite
law
often.
too. What? Why are you acting like
He
some...
seems to follow the law. He goes to court regularly. I mean, he's the most prosecuted president in history.
Because he broke the law.
I think he goes by the law.
Because he broke the law.
And if the law backtracks on him, then that'll be that. But right now, we're all just supposing.
Can't stand guys like this. So are you saying that those indictments were not? Are you saying those indictments were not legitimate, sir? Because he broke the law. That's why he was indicted. Did you ever read them?
Yeah, dude, I watched them in full. You think that what they did to him in New York was legitimate?
Yes.
Do you think Mar-a-Lago's worth $16 million, dude? According to the judge,
so
who was
right off the bat,
yeah,
you're embarrassing yourself. That's not a criminal case. That was a civil case. Has nothing to do with the Department of Justice.
I had him confused.
Yeah, embarrassing.
What criminal thing did he do? Did he rape that old broad? No.
Is that how you describe
the jury didn't even believe it. The jury said no. The jury said we're going to do it. We're going to convict him for saying some shitty stuff about her.
You have no idea what you're talking about. That's also a civil case, though. Has nothing to do with the Department of Justice. You claim he was prosecuted.
Okay, what are you talking about exactly?
Okay, you said he was the most prosecuted.
What was the crime he committed?
Can I answer it, or do you just talk over people?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, what you're doing, listen, Guy, I do this all the time. I talk to guys like you all the time. It's not working. I'm just letting you know right off the bat. What you're doing, this little tactic you have, it doesn't work with me. It might work with one of your buddies or something. Maybe it works with your children.
I'm listening.
It doesn't work with me. So have a decent conversation or move on. It doesn't work with me. Falsifying business records.
Listening.
Falsifying business records to hide campaign finance violations. Stop talking. Falsifying business records to hide campaign. Falsifying business records to hide campaign finance violations. Right? Willful retention of classified documents, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to defraud the United States, racketeering.
Were these things he was convicted of or charged with?
He was convicted of falsifying business records to hide campaign finance violations, 34 felonies in the state of New York.
Were they overturned?
No. He received an unconditional discharge 10 days before the inauguration. The federal cases were dropped due to long-standing Department of Justice policy that you don't prosecute a sitting president.
Okay, so that's still standing.
No, they were dismissed without prejudice. I just said they were dismissed without prejudice.
Okay, so they're dismissed and they mean nothing, don't they?
Well, it's not that they mean nothing.
You can say he's convicted, but they dismissed him. Why did they dismiss him? No,
they didn't dismiss the case he was convicted on, that he's a convicted felon. They dismissed the federal cases because the Department of Justice doesn't prosecute sitting presidents, regardless of whether or not they believe they're guilty. They don't prosecute sitting presidents. Those cases were dismissed without prejudice. So without tolling the statute of limitations, and unless they told the statute of limitations, those cases will eventually go away. But that's not the point. The case he was tried on, the only case that went to criminal court, he was convicted and found guilty. 10 days
Which
before
one was that?
Falsifying business records to hide campaign finance violations. Okay. 10 days before the inauguration, Judge Merchan gave him an unconditional discharge as to not interfere with his ability to govern, not because he's innocent.
So you think Judge Merchan was a fair judge, do you? Did you watch the trials?
A jury convicted him, not the judge.
Okay. A jury with, what's the percentage in New York of Democrats versus Republicans?
There were Republicans on the jury. There were members on that jury that got their news from True Social. Donald Trump was responsible for picking that jury, right? In fact, Todd Blanche, who's now the Deputy Attorney General and is a part of this cover-up to conceal the Epstein files from the American people, was his lead defense attorney at the time and claimed that Donald Trump was more involved in jury selection than any other client he had ever had. He was so involved, Trump wanted to litigate the case himself.
The percentages, it's kind of funny in a way, but the percentages, when you look at percentages, when you take a state like New York who's 90% Democrat, or not the state, but the city of New York is 90% Democrat, and you try to you've got a tit for tat in jury selection, right? You're already fucked before you started, are you not?
No, because you select the jury as you're on the defense.
You select the jury so you can knock out all the Democrats or 50% of the Democrats.
No, but do you think
can't.
Democrats?
You can't possibly.
So first of all,
possibly
let me be
win.
clear.
They tried for a change of venue.
Hold on. First of all,
did they not try for a change of venue? And Judge Mershon, your savior, he didn't. He said hell no.
So first of all, 90% of New York City is not Democrat, which is just a ridiculously stupid statement. But
I'm throwing a number out there. I don't know what the number is. What is the number?
You're throwing a lot of shit.
You're telling me it's not 90%. What's the number?
It's less than
the number.
I don't know. It's around 65%.
I didn't know either, so I said 90%.
Well, 90% is ridiculous. 90%.
What number is it then?
I just
say
told
it's ridiculous. I say it's the right number. What fucking number is it?
I just told you it's around.
What
60.
number is it? I'm asking you what number it is.
You troglodyte. Will you stop talking? I just said around 65%. Didn't I just answer you?
Okay, 65.
So let me explain.
Is that a guess, or did you look it up?
No, I know this. I talk about politics every single day.
You just told me you didn't fucking know it. Now you're telling me you don't. You do know it.
Yeah, I said
so
around.
your 65 is as good as my 90.
No, because 90
what
is
the
not
fuck
really.
Are you
can you just shut up so I can just answer the fucking question, you troglodyte? So the point is this, okay?
Why do you call me? I didn't call you an asswipe. What are you calling me a troglodyte
Listen,
for?
You're an absolute clown. All you've done throughout this.
You're an absolute asshole who thinks that
you've gotten destroyed in this conversation.
You're telling me 65%, but you're
know
guessing
absolutely
like I'm
nothing. You know nothing about what you're talking about. Absolutely nothing.
He got railroaded.
Oh yeah.
If you've
what
ever
was that
seen
case
a
about?
Get railroaded,
tell me what that case was about.
Shit.
Tell me what the case was about.
Which one?
Yeah, the one we're talking about. What was the case about?
The campaign violation? Is that the one you're talking about?
What was the case about?
Or is it the...
What was the case about? Stop trying to delay. What was the case about?
Which fucking case?
The case we're talking about in New York.
Okay. You'll have to remember, there's been several in New York. Which one? Are we talking about the cunt bitch who lied like hell?
I just proved my point. You don't know what you're talking about.
You did.
What you need to do is listen more than you speak. You speak more than you listen, which is why we're here today.
That's why your 65% was pulled out of your ass.
Actually, it wasn't pulled
out
of my
ass. That's why your 65%
Why don't you look
was
it
pulled
up?
out of your ass.
I can promise you I'm a lot
closer. If you think it's 65%,
listen,
I think you pulled it out of your ass.
Listen.
Do you not have a fucking...
Listen.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Listen. Yeah, run from me. Oh, God, I can't stand guys like that. I can't stand big, arrogant, abrasive guys like that, man. He's just going to, he's going to act like he's being all innocent. Well, I mean, they probably had to redact victims' names. I mean, that's a hard thing to do. I'm just asking questions here. You don't even know what case we're talking about. You can't even properly describe the case, let alone tell me what the case was about. Embarrassing.
Call from
Anna.
Yes. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, I am. And Lord, I tell you what, I was listening to music tonight, and you just popped up on my YouTube.
Cool.
Never even heard of you before. I am enjoying your show, let me tell you.
Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, I am.
Let's hear your take on the Epstein files. Go ahead.
I have some serious problems with the Epstein files. Right now, as you had stated, hey, is this going to be the red line for a lot of Trump supporters? Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. This is going to be the red line. And for multiple reasons. One, we are a nation of laws. I respect the office, regardless of who is sitting in that office. But at the end of the day, we are a nation of laws, and those laws need to be upheld.
Okay. So you're referring to now.
Evidence,
Let's clarify. Let's clarify a couple things. When you say we're a nation of laws, you're referring to the fact that by law they had to release these files by the end of the day.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And the Department of Justice is breaking that law right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, it should be the line in the sand.
Absolutely. And it's not the first time. Exactly. And especially when it involves children, and I know some of your callers, they were talking about the, deportation and everything that's going on with ICE and all that. And do I support that? Yes, I do support that. And, I've lived through that, which some of your listeners might not have that experience. It was the most unusual experience in my life. It wasn't anything I anticipated happening. But in 2015, my family, became aware of a situation where a 15-year-old child from outside the United States, from a foreign country, had come into the United States and was a suspect victim of child trafficking. So we navigated through the Office of Refugee Resettlement. We navigated with ICE. We navigated through the process with the DOJ, with the Department of Homeland Security. Ultimately, after a 5-month struggle, we were able to have this child released into our custody.
Yeah.
So do I believe in immigration? Yes, I do, but I believe in legal immigration.
Guys, you muted the wrong comment again in the chat. Mods, please be careful you're not muting the wrong comments. So here's the point. I don't know why we pivoted to immigration, and the reason I'm not talking about multiple topics at the same time is because it complicates my message. This needs to be aligned.
Oh, well, okay.
And I do debate, but here's the thing.
So
can I just since you addressed it, I need to address it, okay? Because you just said something that I need to. First of all, your experience with one person, generally speaking, undocumented immigrants commit very low portions of crime. Okay, so that needs to be that needs to be recognized during this conversation. You having a personal experience that's different than statistically are undocumented immigrants committing large amounts of crime. Are they contributing to a rising crime rate? And that's just not the case. And it doesn't matter what category of crime, they're just not. If you're concerned with these things, then you should certainly be concerned with what we're talking about right now, which is human trafficking, right? So when you tell me...
Absolutely, and that's...
Hold on. When you tell me it might be the line in the sand, when we're talking about human trafficking in relation to the president, and it's definitely the line in the sand when it comes to undocumented immigrants, I kind of question your position. Why isn't it definitely the line in the sand with Trump breaking the law and the coordinated effort to conceal that information about human trafficking from the American people? Why do you not have that same standard for the president? You want these people deported for engaging in a category of crime. You want these people deported because someone you knew engaged in that category of crime. An entire population of people. Why is your standard for the president not the same?
Okay, you raised two questions, so I'll give you the two answers. The reason I brought up the immigration component was because I am familiar with trafficking, with children and trafficking. So a lot of my views are based on my personal experience, and the system is very broken. Very, very broken when it comes to protecting children. The second answer, or the second question that you had raised, my answer to that is my red line in the sand. However, I'm waiting to see in the next few days following the events of today what is going to be transpiring as far as, because I haven't even gone through all the files. I'm going to be honest with you. I've not, and that's even irrelevant.
That's not
because,
the point.
The bottom line is
they
should have all been released.
That's right.
They had
they
had a deadline.
That's not
right.
That's
they
point.
all should have been released.
Yep.
However, I don't want to jump the gun if there's something that we are not being told that there could be.
Like what?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
There isn't.
I want to hear a response. I want to hear a response from the president himself. I would like to see him do a press conference.
They tried to ask him today. He did a press conference today, and he wouldn't answer questions. They asked him this question. He ran out the door. The president has avoided talking
that
about this.
That I did not see. Okay.
Yeah, he did a press conference about lowering drug prices, and then he refused to take the guy who loves to answer questions and stand up there and run his mouth. Today, coincidentally, he didn't answer questions. So here's the thing, right? The president, you're waiting to hear what the president said. I can gather just from what you're saying, you don't fully, or maybe you're not educated on the concerted effort to conceal this. Donald Trump sent, you know who Ghislaine Maxwell is? We're going to talk about human trafficking now, since you want to deport an entire population of people because of one instance of human trafficking in your personal life. We're going to talk about this now. Ghislaine Maxwell is a human trafficker. She's a convicted sex offender, a violent sex offender who participated in not only human trafficking. In not only human trafficking did she participate in, she participated in the abuse. The administration, the deputy attorney general of this country, Todd Blanche, who was Donald Trump's personal attorney during his criminal cases, in fact, he defended him in that case in New York we were just talking about, went down to go sit down with her when they found out she was going to testify in front of the Oversight Committee so they could secure the narrative about Trump, right? Remember that? I don't know if you know that or not. She was transferred to a minimum security dorm in Camp Bryan, Texas, where we now found out she's receiving customized meals, private workout sessions. She had access to technology, an emotional support dog. This administration that you voted for, that put people like Todd Blanche in there, had a quid pro quo meeting with a human trafficker and rewarded her with a transfer to a minimum security prison in Camp Bryan, Texas. So forget the fact that you need to wait for the president to come out and speak. This administration has already proven they don't care about human trafficking. The survivors of this human trafficking came forward and were extremely upset that she was moved. When the Oversight Committee made their statement today, they said the Department of Justice is now making clear it intends to defy Congress itself, even as it gives star treatment to Epstein's convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. That's what they're referring to. That meeting, that quid pro quo proffer. So if your line in the sand is human trafficking, then that line has already been drawn.
Wow. I think we just need a whole complete overhaul, honestly, at this point, of the Department of Justice, because I know that we had no justice in our situation from the Department of Justice. We had no justice for the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, I don't know what the answer is moving forward to bring us back to that point where we can once again say confidently we are a nation of laws and our laws are going to be upheld.
You know what a good start would be? Ensuring that we don't have people engaged in this category of crime and the people who are potentially blackmailing them exposed and removed. And there's going to be people with these next to their name, and there's going to be people with ours next to their name. But the point is, this can't be about party
I'm okay with that.
So am I. I could care less who's there. If you engage in this behavior, I want you out of my government. I'm concerned for the future of our democratic constitutional republic at this point. This isn't even just about, like, first of all, first and foremost, the survivors need to be who's considered here. But there's other consequences. This is big enough, I think, to destroy our system as a whole. Our system operates in a way that relies on the people trusting the integrity of the system, or it doesn't work. Any system that operates
Correct.
like ours, any republic, any democracy that operates this way, relies on the people, we the people, trusting the integrity of the system. People today, I can guarantee you, don't trust the system. And that's probably pretty consistent across the board. There are serious consequences
it definitely
for our system outside of this isn't just about Trump. And I think people think that it's just about Trump, and so that's why they're quick to like try and get out and defend it, because they consider it like anything else, right? Any other story or anything else that people have said about Trump. This is different. Trump's done really bad stuff.
it's global.
This is pretty serious.
It's global, and I think it's global, and I think that the world is watching what's happening right here now with this here in the United States, because the ripples are going to have global repercussions.
I agree with that.
And if we're supposed to be a strong nation, and we're one of the leading nations in this world, if we're not standing up for these children, if we're not speaking out for these children, if we're not hitting the streets, regardless if you're Democrat, whether you're Republican, whether you're Libertarian, or you don't even vote, I mean, just as a human being, if we're not standing up and taking to the streets and demanding justice, what message is that sending to the rest of the world? And if we don't speak for these children, who will?
Yeah, I think
we had, in our situation, we had no justice. I had to go out, purchase a firearm. I had to go out and I'm in a state where you need a concealed carry permit. I had to go out and file for a concealed carry permit. Yes, I did responsibly go through training, firearm, gun safety training.
Oh, I have a permit too. So
just to keep this child safe, because the trafficker knew where their child was. The trafficker was trying to lure the child from my home, and the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, they offered no assistance, none.
Can I ask you a question though? Have you ever taken the time to, rather than just focus, and I'm not discounting your experience, right, when I say this, because maybe your experience is real. I assume it is. I assume you're telling me the truth. I'm not trying to invalidate it when I say this. But have you ever taken the time to just look statistically if undocumented immigrants commit, what population primarily commits this category of crime? Because it's American citizens in this country that primarily commit that category of crime. And so I think that...
Correct. I know it is very low. I know it is very low.
It is low. And I just want you to know that the administration hopes that there are people like you where they can exploit your individual traumas and experiences to justify harsh policies against otherwise innocent populations of people. That's more or less what I would have to say to you there, and I would hope you take that into consideration. I'm not going to try and convince you now, but understand that statement. They prey on those traumas. They prey on those experiences to justify their harsh policies against otherwise innocent populations of people. Innocent people are suffering, right, because of those policies. Now, just related to Trump, all I would say to you to wrap this conversation up is to read the Epstein Transparency Act if you haven't, to look at how many redactions are in the files, and then keep track of what Todd Blanche is saying. And I imagine the more you read, the more outraged you'll be. And I hope this is your line in the sand. I'm not going to try and convince you to switch your political position on every topic. But this really should show that this administration is corrupt, and they're willing to break the law to keep otherwise damning information about the president out of the hands of the American people. And that can't be.
I think I'm more aside from the issue we're talking about as a party, I think I'm more frustrated with the supporters. I saw the little nasty comments from some of your listeners in the chat, the MAGA people, but I think I have a lot of frustration with a lot of the people in my party, the Republican Party, that are supporters with Trump, because he's so idolized that they're willing to be dismissive.
That's right.
And accept everything without prejudice when he's not the Messiah, and like I said, it doesn't matter who's in office and from which party, there needs to be a level of accountability.
Yes. 100%.
And I'm not seeing that coming from my party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, here's the thing. You're showing a real capability to think critically here, and I think there's hope for you. I really hope you can continue to educate yourself. You can certainly call back, talk about different topics in here all the time, and we can explore those. But you're showing a real ability to analyze not only whether or not you've made a mistake, but whether or not you should continue to support this party. And I think there's real hope for you going forward. So I hope you do that. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. Take care. What's going on, everybody? Sorry, I wasn't reading the chat there for a little bit. Yeah, I think that, well, I always say this to people too that will tell me about a traumatic event that happened, right? Or some kind of awful thing, whatever the case is. And it's not that I'm saying that doesn't matter, right? But I want you to understand the administration doesn't care. They don't care about your personal. They're just using that to justify these harsh policies. The question becomes for MAGA supporters, how long are you willing to be used? How long are you willing to be used? Guys, there's major modifications that need to be made to our political system across the board. There's things I want to change in the Democratic Party. There's things I want to change in the Republican Party. What we're witnessing here is a serious issue. You cannot look at this like a team game. It's not that. Ultimately, that's what Trump wants, and that's what politicians want, generally speaking. It can't be. It just can't. Guys, I appreciate everybody for coming. I've been on over 2 hours now. I'm going to come on tomorrow. If you guys are new here, I would appreciate hitting the follow button. I haven't said that at all today. Please hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss these conversations. We are going to have them pretty much every day. The only time I'm sometimes not on is weekends, but a lot of times I come on the weekend, most times. Weekdays I'm on every single day. So I would appreciate if you guys do subscribe. You guys can support in the link tree in my bio on the front of my page. I am on TikTok. My username is the same on TikTok. So I would appreciate it. To the guy in chat saying we're not a democracy, we are a democratic constitutional republic. That's what we are. You really should Google that question you just asked me. Right? It's like saying Coke isn't soda. It's Coke, right? Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Appreciate everybody. I will talk to you guys soon.